Maronnero Carmen, aiutici tu.
And benvenuti, fellas and bellas all over the world. Welcome to another episode of the Napoli Rant. I am Raff Biz, joined by my co-host, Raff
Bizzarro, come stai oggi?
Tutto posto, little under the weather, but tutto posto. Welcome,
Yeah,
Raff. Welcome.
we missed it. We missed a week. We missed a week
My
due to
God.
your sickness.
Yeah, dude. Sickness in the head for this team, I'll tell you. But welcome, Rafa. Welcome to all of our listeners. Let's get this rant on the road. We did miss a week. We missed after the Udinese game,
yeah.
but we're here, back, better than ever. 3 draws now in a row, but Napoli still remain first place, Rafa, by a thread, but we're still here.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think there's a few things to discuss because there has been a lot of emotions. I'm not going to lie. I was triggered after that last game. My blood pressure was up. And it was for an important reason. It was, I mean, yes, the results, yes, the late goal from Udinese to draw the game, the dropping of the points, especially with Inter Juve the day after, and them possibly, overpassing Napoli in the standings. The reason, Rafa, I guess we'll tell everybody now is because we're going somewhere, Rafa, aren't we? We're going.
Well, yeah. I mean, so
with
the reason the reason you're triggered right now,
yeah,
maybe is because it's too close for comfort, right? You kind of wanted a little bit of a wiggle room for our event, right? For our special event that we're about to announce.
Mm-hmm.
Raff Bizzarro and Raff are going to Napoli for Napoli Inter. Yes, we will be in Napoli along with a couple of our buddies. But
shout out to Antonio.
We have some great plans for this little trip. Raff, I'm absolutely excited and stoked. And yes, would have liked a little more wiggle room myself, but I think also that this makes it much more interesting and important.
Oh yeah.
You know,
but that's what I wanted, Rafa. I wanted this thing to be really tight.
Right. My thing is, I didn't want to be any more than 2 points behind Inter by the time this game came up.
Uh-huh.
And it turns out we're 2 points in front, right?
Yeah.
Because we did drop points to Udinese, 1-1. We did drop points to Lazio, 2-2. And in both occasions, Inter could have overtaken us by beating Fiorentina in the makeup game, which did not happen since the last time we recorded, Ralph, right? Inter dropped their match to Fiorentina 3-0.
Yes.
So that gave us a lot of hope. Then the Udinese game came around and Inter redeemed themselves from the Andata fixture and beat Fiorentina in the Ritorno at the Meazza 2-1, which put them back to a point behind us. And they really could have leapfrogged us this time around, but Juve! Grazie per grande favore.
The one pass Napoli tifosi get to cheer for Inter.
The only scenario I would ever wish for a Juventus win, and you have to see me, Ralph. I celebrated that Cambiaso goal who was it? Conceição. I celebrated that Conceição goal like it was a Napoli goal, dude. I really did. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I did, because of the fact that, I know it's still close for comfort, but Inter taking the lead in the Serie A could have not only boosted their morale, but also deflated ours a little. Now I think the feelings are still within the club. I don't think this is within the fan base. The fan base has all lost their minds, but
Yeah.
within the club, I think there's still a good sense that, okay, we're still in the driver's seat for this, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we could have lost control of the campeonato, but we didn't. We did not lose control. We're still very much in control of our destiny, and that brings us to where we are now,
Which is 2 points ahead with 3 draws, and we're going up against Como. How do you feel about Como, Rafa? I mean, I know
well, they just beat Fiorentina 2-0 at the weekend with their the new guy Diao and their wonderful player that I wish was on Napoli, Nico Paz. He's Como actually do like when you look at their position at the table, they climbed it a little bit this week. I think they went up to 13th, but not a lot of points away from relegation. But they are, I mean, they played us strong. I know we came out the 3-1 winners, but they played us very strong. There was
right.
a point in time during the Como match where I thought we would drop points to them.
Really?
And there was there also was a very nice gesture from the Como fans about how gracious we were, and that when we go there, Como fans want to buy Napoli fans beer or whatever there was.
Thank you. How nice.
But so I expect a love fest this weekend. 6:30 a.m. Eastern time, guys. So everybody set your alarms. But I feel like it's going to be difficult. But at the same time, Spinazzola should be back. Oliveira's on a fast track to come back. Obviously, we'll be missing Neres, but I think the inclusion of Raspadori worked out. And we'll see how that gets put into factor too. As much as I like Mazzocchi as a person, as a Napolitan, I think I'm ready to see him hit the bench again and have Spinazzola come back into the fray. And we'll see what happens. But against Udinese, it was an amazing goal by Ecklenberg, who actually scored 2 more goals for the Udinese this weekend in their 3-0 win. So he, merit to him, and we just couldn't find the answer after that. And then with Lazio, the same thing happened against Roma, didn't it, Ralph? Except the fact that they took the lead on us with Isaksen again. The Napoli killer is Isaksen, I guess, this year.
Yeah.
Beautiful goal by Isaksen. Very beautiful goal. But we responded with Raspadori, and I know you're a little proud of that.
Yeah.
Good shout by you, by the way. And actually, I'm kind of proud of it too, because when the kids asked me why Raspadori, and I said, watch, he's going to do something.
Of course.
When we scored, it was funny because we were at the shop when we scored. They were watching in my office, and I was watching out on the floor cutting hair. And when they scored, they were on a little bit of a delay, and I could hear them cheer after the goal. And then right away they came out. They were like, "Dad, you said it! Dad, you said it!" It made me feel proud because it was a packed barbershop. Everyone, my kids coming out saying, "Dad, you know ball, Dad."
I think Raspa was just. I mean, he's got to be hungry on that bench right now. I mean, he's not being used.
He's a quality player. I think. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
Of the players on the bench, I think Simeone and Raspadori should get more playing time because those are 2 quality players. And Raspadori sitting on the bench. But the problem is that Conte wasn't willing, or is not. Am I right or am I wrong when I say this, Ralph? Conte is not willing to try other models throughout the season unless he has to, right? So he's been running with this 4-man back line, which is somewhat new to him. He had to kind of adapt to it, right, with our team because he's a 3-man guy. But then for this game, he had to go back to a 3-5-2, and that suits Raspadori very well. I don't understand why he can't play that more, or maybe even earlier on in a game when we need it, like if we need a little bit of a spunk, maybe change it to a 2-4-4-2, a 3-4-1-2, or something like that, like it clearly was working. against Lazio. And, I guess that's the stubbornness of Conte too. I don't know. But Raspadori, you're right. Raspadori's a talent that's sitting he's a national team player. He's a starter on the national team.
Right.
In the model that Spalletti has adapted towards the needs of that team. He starts on a 3-4-1-2. So yeah, I mean,
Raff, I tweeted a couple days ago about Raspadori because 2 years ago I was invited to go on the Forza Napoli podcast with Joe Fischetti.
Yeah.
And one of the questions was, what was Napoli's best signing? And I remember I was there. I believe Carmine from Toronto was there. And
oh, yes, this was Scudetto season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I think Pete Scala from Tri-State was there as well. And we had to pick our favorite signing. Now, at the time, everybody was picking Cavada, which...
Of course.
I mean, technically was probably our better signing at the time, immediately.
Right.
So I had to kind of come up with another answer. And my pick was, you know what, Joe, it's going to be Raspadori is going to be one of our best signings because I think this is a kid who will be almost like the second coming of Mertens for this club.
Sure.
And
it was a long run pick, right? Too, because Raspadori is also very young. He's a young kid.
Yeah.
Who works in different, models, different formations, and I just feel like he'd been underutilized a lot.
A whole lot. And I mean, you got to give this guy a home. He's got. I liked him when he played right mid, and he was able to kind of do a little tiki taka with Politano and Di Lorenzo. It's like that the Italian Three Amigos,
right?
All on that side. I saw good things there.
Three Amici.
The Three Amici, the Three Amici, right? Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I liked him there. I always thought he was able to facilitate. I thought he was good at that, and he's able to get those random goals, especially important ones.
Yeah,
I mean, he's involved in both of them in this game.
Yeah.
So you were right, Rafa, with the other day. It's like when they you can kind of feel it sometimes. It's like, man, this guy's gonna produce. This guy's gonna produce. I knew McTominay was gonna score the other day. I knew it.
Oh,
I
against
knew he
Udinese,
wanted,
yeah.
I knew he wanted it because the game prior he wanted it, he couldn't get it. I was like, man, this guy's gonna go, and he did it so much so he almost cracked his face on the field.
Yeah, he face planted into the pitch. I remember the goal. Yeah,
and that wasn't his only opportunity like that either. That was like his second or third opportunity to score.
Right,
a tough goal. Flying,
and he collided heads not long before that with I forgot who, but he collided heads. He smacked his head against another Udinese player's head. Yeah, Scott McTominay against Udinese was pretty good. I mean, we had shortlisted him for Beast. I think it was unanimous in certain areas that I was asking around in. But we ended up going with, and I don't know if you want to announce it now, but
tell him.
Yeah, so Di Lorenzo ended up winning Beast of the Match for that game. That was who we would have announced if we had a show last week. So Di Lorenzo, Beast of the Match against Udinese, because without Di Lorenzo, we probably lose that game. He was very much so a general on the field. He definitely took the leadership back, and deputized that defense and kept us in it for sure.
He had Luka in his pocket. He was outstanding on defense. He was practically a quarterback most of the time. He helped on offense. He was just a solid player. That I mean, he always is. I think D'Lo is always a solid player. But for that game, I really thought he stood out more than anybody else. Now, mind you, McTominay, I loved his efforts and all that, but I think Di Lorenzo, what he did with Luka, I mean, he took away a ton of opportunities from this guy that could have been easy goals for Udinese had Di Lorenzo botched any of his coverage, but he didn't. He put everything he had, everything he knew into his defense, and was just able to hold it down, and we kept the game a draw. So for me, Di Lorenzo against Udinese was an absolute beast. I mean, yes, McTominay had a great game, and certainly his eye towards goal. I mean, McTominay was the hungriest of the beasts, without a doubt, on the field. But Di Lorenzo saves the day, and that to me is beastly. So, congrats, Giovanni. Beast of the match for the Udinese game. But moving forward, it's
going back to Lazio, right?
Going back to Lazio. I mean, Roma, couple subs. We used 5 subs against Udinese, one being Okafor, I guess, giving him a few minutes of burn. There was another one in the 81st. I forgot who it was. We did 3 changes in the 70th. So, I mean, Conte did try to change the face a little bit and get some goals. It was Billy Gilmore that came in for Lobotka. In Udinese, we had Ngonge, Simeone, and Giacomo Raspadori. So I do think that maybe Conte was trying to go for the win.
Yeah.
But against Lazio, I have no idea what the hell he was trying to do. I'm and I'm not. I'm not the coach. Right? You're not the coach. He is. No shit.
Yeah,
I'm not the coach. But
I did see somebody tweet that. Oh, well, that's why he's won in 3 different leagues, and you're just Raff Biz. We're not allowed to have an opinion.
Did somebody say that? I didn't even see that.
Oh yeah. Check your Twitter. Someone said that. I forgot.
Is that recently or?
It was after your judgmental tweets about Conte. Yeah, it's there. So I thought you'd retaliate on him, but I don't think you saw it. I saw it.
I'm almost going to fuck.
Yeah, go ahead, check it out.
Was this on my personal account or was this the?
Oh yeah. I forgot what tweet it was, but it was there. It's on a Conte tweet for sure.
Yeah,
it might be the same one that people are asking if you were serious. But here's the deal, okay? Here's the deal.
Okay, go on.
They're right. Conte's a coach. We're just rough and rough. But it's not like we're not allowed to have an opinion on what we see. Now, Raff Biz makes a lot of good points, right? It seems like he trusts the team a little bit too much when we're up a goal. And then when we need points or we need a goal, he'll throw all 5 guys in, It was kind of telling this time that he made a sub in the 60th minute. He threw Politano in for Buongiorno. Buongiorno coming off, probably because he doesn't have 90 minutes in his legs. He was playing really well, Buongiorno. But again, just coming back from injury, I'm sure he wanted to give him a little bit of a rest, right? And it seemed that he'd go back to a 4-3-3, but instead he pushed Di Lorenzo back in the 3 with Rachmani and Jesus. And then Mazzocchi kept his place on the left, Politano on the right. It wasn't until the 86th minute where he makes the move for Rafa Marin, or 85th minute, 87th minute, whatever you want to call it. Rafa Marin comes in, who hasn't seen a minute of Serie A action yet, for Mazzocchi. And instead of, Ralph, we talked about it, right? What, 4-4-2, or maybe even using another sub to take out a midfielder who looked gassed. He kept a back line. He moved to a 5-man back line in Di Lorenzo, Rafa Marin, Rachmani, Juan Jesus, and Politano in the back 5.
Yeah.
Now, immediately we give up the goal to Dia.
Yeah.
I mean, with immediate effect. And the same thing happened against Roma. Back 5, gave up a goal in the dying minutes. And clearly that doesn't work. It both happened at the Olimpico. It both happened against Roma and Lazio away.
Yeah.
Like
the right wing playing left back didn't work, Rafa.
I mean, yeah, that to me was very, very odd and merits a question. Listen, we know Conte has got it. We know that he's the guy. I'm not upset with Antonio Conte this season because he has us in first place. So I will not criticize him overall, but I can criticize some of the moves that he makes mid matches and decisions that he makes that cost us points. I think it's only normal for a fan of our caliber, for voices in the community to raise a little bit of an eyebrow at it. Am I saying that he bottled the season? No. Am I saying that, is he's trying to throw the Campeonato to prove a point to ADL? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is I think he trusts a little bit too much the squad on the pitch at his disposal, because we're only playing one game a week, and not putting into consideration that these guys are tired by the end of the game. And, Ralph, I think we agree on the stance, right? I mean, I probably just stole your thunder right now, but
Not at all.
This is
I
your,
have plenty more. I got a
yeah,
little lightning.
that's not the only thing, I'm sure. Yeah.
Thunder. No, I mean, listen, I tried to track back and find that tweet. I didn't see it. So I'm, I'll look for it later. If somebody says, well, I'm Ralph Biz and he's Conte, shut up. How about that? We're all entitled to an opinion here, guys. You're allowed to. Just like, oh, well, ADL, he doesn't want to win cups. And Conte, he's throwing games now to prove a point. And that. Go after those takes, whoever you are. Okay? I'm allowed to have an opinion. I'm not an expert. I just have an opinion, and that's it. But when you put a fucking right wing on left back, okay, I don't know what kind of results you're expecting on that. Listen, Rafa, I was watching Anguissa play, who has been a monster of a player this year, probably one of our best right after Buongiorno, if not the best right before Buongiorno. I was screaming mercy at the damn TV to please get this guy off. That I'm afraid to even say it, but I feel like he's next up for injury. We're playing once a week. These guys look exhausted. For what? I mean, what are we doing in that training there, guy? Are these guys running up a fucking, huge hill all day long? Vomiting? Right. What's going on? All of our injuries took place in practice. Not the game. Not the game. Practice. Practice? We're not talking about the game. We're not talking about a hard slide tackle that led to a pulled hammy. But practice. All right? I mean, yeah, we're in first. So it's tough to criticize, isn't it? And God bless Conte for what he did for this team, honestly. Like he straightened this ship and he made them defensively sound and disciplined. And I know he's working on that form. But we're crying. We're crying a river here about ADL and his failure in January. It was a failure. Okay. You call it a failure. I call it same shit. All right. Because if you look at every January transfer window the past 10, 15 years, it's the same shit. Like you could have expected something like this to happen, especially when we're not in any other competitions. If you think for 1 second that we were going to drop over 100 million in January, you're wrong. It wasn't going to happen. But either way, I look at the midfielders, and they're exhausted. We have Gilmore on the bench. We have this new guy, Billing, on the bench. We have, what was his name, Massa on the bench.
Hassa.
Massa.
We have
Not 1 minute. Not 1 minute.
No.
And our players are exhausted. And then we've put our right wing on the left back. And where does the goal come from? The left. So, listen, guys, I'm just reacting. I'm reacting off of Conte's decision. I'm not telling him what to do. I'm just reacting to him. So I'm not telling him how to coach, but come on. We've seen this from time and time again. I've always been, and listen, if you're not listening to the show, or if you haven't listened to the show from the beginning and you don't know our stances here, then I don't want to hear it. I have been consistent complainer about coaches not utilizing the benches. All right. And if more than anything, to give people a break, even just to put a fresh pair of legs out there. This guy Billing, I mean, he's a tower. He can help defensively. He can help maintain the 2-1 lead. Stack everything in the middle. Go back to the 4-4-2 when you're on defense. You're good.
Right.
You have Juan Jesus, who was a left back. Could have moved him to the left with Rahmani Marine in the middle. And Marine, finally, he has to come on the field when we're desperate. We can't just give him a few minutes here and there. We couldn't give him a few minutes when Buongiorno was gone to help push him along.
Yeah.
That we had Juan Jesus there the whole fucking time. And Juan Jesus did a pretty good job, but come on. Like you could have put Marin 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. You might as well. You didn't use any other subs half the time. 3 subs. I saw Simeone on the touchline on the 90th minute. What is he going to do? What is he going to do? He's going to come on the field for 3 minutes and make it all happen? I mean, come on. Guys, I mean, we want players, but we don't want to use them. And then what's the response? Well, Conte don't think they're worthy enough. What the? Really? They're not worthy now? Because in the beginning of the season, Gilmore was like the second coming of Lobotka. Oh, this is the guy to replace Lobotka. Mm-hmm. You're nuts if you think that. Gilmore is certainly not Lobotka's replacement, at least not right now.
Lobotka had a great game.
If anything, it was Vincenzo. He was on the fourth. Yeah, Vincenzo Bertiglio's last episode with Joe Fischetti. He said it. We've said it on this show much earlier, but he said it again. So let's just all take the credit here. Let's give everybody a pat on the back for this one. But we want to see Gilmore and Lobotka in the double pivot. I think that is a good lineup. I think that could be a good strategy to help us move the ball forward. Because Raspadori was doing that. He was moving the ball. And we got goals from it. But we didn't see that. You want to stay in a defensive shape? Put on Billing. The guy's a tower. He's basically another Anguissa. And we don't even get to see him for 5 minutes. While this guy Anguissa, like, he visibly was exhausted. He was not the same guy. He was jogging everywhere. Just light jog to get back to his position, Rafa. So, I mean...
Or leave Mazzocchi on, put Rafa Marin for a midfielder, and move Mazzocchi to the midfield or back.
Mazzocchi had to come off, Rafa. He wanted to come off. There was an article saying that he was telling I think it was Juan Jesus, like, I can't do it. I think Mazzocchi was just exhausted. For whatever he was just,
Well, and that's another point, man. These guys are working so hard on training. Conte is running them to the ground because
right.
I mean, like if any team should be ready for 2 games, 3 competitions next season, it should be Napoli because of how hard Conte is training them. I feel like he's making up for the fact that we're not in Europe. He's probably making them play scrimmages that we don't know about.
Like you put on a Chelsea jersey and then.
I mean, it's something. I mean, just look at all the injuries that happened in training and not actually in games. Most everybody that was injured this season happened in training. Neres now that we're going to be missing him for who knows. Hopefully he's back for the Inter game. I doubt it 100%. I really do doubt it. I thought
really
at
wanted
first
to
it was
see
going
him.
to be.
Shit, man.
I know.
I'm sad
that would have been
about
really nice. That would have been really nice.
Really wanted to watch him play. And we were on his side too.
I
I'll be able
think
to see.
I know. I
Damn
think
it.
the only or again, one of the things that will save this team from this quote unquote crisis everybody's talking about is the fact that most everybody is coming back, right?
Yeah.
I think by the time Inter comes around, Neres will be the only injury we're missing. It's a big miss, but we've shown that we can make up for it. Um, so there is optimism. There's light at the end of the tunnel. There's a lot of light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, you can criticize the fact that we drew 3 games in a row. You could look at it that way, or you could also look at it in a sense that we are now unbeaten in 10 games,
It
which
still says
was
something. It still says something.
right, which matches our longest unbeaten streak of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That matches our longest unbeaten streak. You can look at it, okay, we drew 3 games in a row. Things are looking downward. We're giving up goals after we're leading. Or you can look at it as we have obtained 7 points out of the 9 that we lost to the teams we lost to in the Andata
Yeah.
phase of the schedule,
Okay.
right? In that we beat Atalanta, we beat Verona, and we drew to Lazio, right? We were 5 minutes away from beating Lazio. That would have been impressive.
It's been
To get
great.
a full 9 out of 9
I'm
redemption would have been impressive. But again, 7 points of 9. And then you could also look at it in this sense, Ralph. Since the beginning of the Ritorno, so since the beginning of the second half of the season, the Verona match that kicked off our, what, is 20th match of the season,
mm-hmm.
we've played 6 games. We've gained 12 points, 3 wins, and 3 draws. Against those same 6 teams last season, we only ended up with 7 points. So we're +5 ahead of where we were against the 6 teams we played against last the Andata fixture, right? We
Mm-hmm.
beat Verona, we beat Atalanta, we beat Juventus, we drew to Roma, we drew to Udinese, we drew to Lazio. So you can look at it that way too. We're now in the schedule, we're playing against teams that we've either beaten or drawn already this season.
Right.
So another thing you can look at, Ralph, is I'm talking Inter. Obviously, every team, like Marco Messina likes to say on CBS, every team needs luck along the way. Napoli is extremely lucky that Inter have dropped 6 of 9 points in the last 3 games. And in those 3 games, we only gained 3 points. So we're still over them. But they've done that while only playing 1 game a week. And that ends this weekend. Inter go back home to play against Genoa this weekend. Then they have Lazio in the Coppa Italia, then us, and then it's back to the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked it up, Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from the international break, which when you think about it, isn't really a break, right? Because a team
People,
like Inter has nothing but international players, so they're all going to go play. Same thing with
right.
us, really, when you think about it, right?
Sure.
Everybody's going to go leave and play with their national teams. So what kind of a break is it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a break from Serie A. It's not really a physical break,
Right.
right? There's injury worries, there's fatigue worries. Inter, to go all the way in the Cups competitions, will play every 3 or 4 days from now until the end of the season. And I'm talking literally for Inter to go all the way in the Champions League, which they're going to focus on,
Mm-hmm.
and for Inter to go all the way in Coppa Italia, which may be the only realistic championship that they can actually win this season, aside from Serie A, obviously. right? They will have to have played every 3 or 4 days until the second to last week of Serie A. And we're only playing one game a week with our guys that were injured coming back. So we all know what Conte could do in Serie A. So I don't see a point to really, like, we can criticize all day Conte's this and that in certain games and certain scenarios, but I don't think that we have a disadvantage when it comes to what our aim is right now. And everybody says the aim is Champions League. That's the objective at the season. That's what ADL wanted, but it's quite obvious that Napoli are in a really good position to win the Scudetto this season. And if you don't think that that's true, just look at the last 7 games of our schedule. It's all against teams in the bottom half of the table, which could also prove to be dangerous because some of those teams are looking to salvation.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if, I'm telling you, Inter and Atalanta, as close as they are to us in the schedule, Atalanta need to win this week to go to progress in the Champions League themselves. They're already out of Coppa Italia. I'm telling you, this is not. It's not over for Napoli, and for those who really think that that's the case, you need to stop and take a minute and look at what's going on. Yes, we've drawn 3 games in a row, and it was from the winning position. And it looks a little bit bleak when you think about it. But at some point, Neres is going to be back. It's not a season-ending injury. It's not a detrimental injury. And we have our injured guys coming back right away. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
the springtime could be ours,
Exactly. I'm trying to, because I get it. I understand where everyone's coming from when it comes to, Conte and the decision making and the this and the that and Mana and the failed, quote unquote, failed mercato, whatever. I get everybody's concern, and they might have valid points for it. To an extent. But when you start to look at this and say, "Oh, Conte's throwing this," or "Oh, ADL doesn't want that," or those are just outrageous takes, and I can't be on board with them. But I'm also I'm really, and I know I'm optimistic at the core, but I really do feel an optimism here for the outcome of this season. I do. If I watched that whole, I've been watching Inter every single time they play Champions League, Coppa Italia, and Serie A, and I don't see a team like last season, the team that you should fear. I don't see that team this year. They have great players. They have great depth. They make good moves. They do well in the mercato, but I don't think that this season. I'm really thinking that they're focused on the Champions League. It says it all in their league play. They only gave up 1 goal in the league play, and it was a loss to Bayer Leverkusen. They shut out everybody else, but in that competition, they are aiming for European glory this season, and it's going to be a downfall of theirs in the Serie A.
Interesting. I appreciate that, Rafa, because I think a little optimism is due here. I listen. I was not happy with some of the decisions with Conte against Udinese. I just want to make sure that he's using all these extra pieces that we have to give our starting 11 a break at times, a breather, or just take away a little bit of that pressure off them. That's kind of why I'm a stickler. But I've been consistent about this mentality. I mean, since we started this show. So I'm not saying anything new. If anybody knows me here, the only thing what I'm concerned about was that I think over these past couple games, these past couple weeks, all right, we got a little lucky. I don't think Lazio played great. I think they tanked a lot of shit. All right. I think it was lucky game for Napoli against Lazio. I'll be honest with you. All right. We made a lot of mistakes. We made a lot of passing errors. Even the goal from Raspadori hitting off somebody's ass to fucking to a defense to a Udinese defender that leads to an own goal. I mean, like, that is the definition of luck. That was the butt pass from an Udinese defenseman to another one to at least. I mean, there was a lot of luck involved here, and then the minute we put this right winger to left back, and then things kind of collapse, and we give up the goal, and we ran. The point I'm trying to make is that it's like luck is good. You need a little bit of luck, no matter what. Doesn't matter what team you are. You need a little bit of luck. And if there was any time to receive luck, Rafa, right now is the perfect time, right?
Yeah.
Through this like injury spell, through this little down phase we're having of, if you want to call it fatigue or whatever, now's the time that we needed the luck. So, if it's us cashing in on that, so be it. I'll take it because you need a little bit of it. But
I mean, and think about it, right, Rob?
I'm just afraid it's going to run out.
We can't run out. No, you're right.
I want us to go back to grinding out those 1-0 wins.
But I don't think we're going to need luck after this weekend because, again, Spinazzola's coming back. Oliveira's on track to come back earlier. And I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be fine.
But Buongiorno back? I mean, Buongiorno looked great. Right away.
He did. He
was felt on that field. Like,
for sure, he did.
So he's going to be a big key to maintaining what we are doing here. He's going to be a big key. And if the midfield stays healthy and we can get Spina, because Spina unfortunately gets injured at the best form of the season. We didn't just lose a backup. No, we lost a guy who was on fire, a guy who was getting beast nominations. He was about to win a beast, and then he gets injured. I mean, that's rough, man.
It is rough, but think about it like this: it could have been worse because Spina has had more than one career-threatening, yes, season-ending injury in his career,
right?
And we're lucky that this is not the case. We're lucky that none of these injuries were too long-term. The longest-term injury was Buongiorno for these 2 months, and then before that, it was, Meret and Lobotka when they went down injured for a month each. It's a couple weeks here or there. It might be a month for Neres, but we're lucky that it's not something that's detrimental in season ending. Sure. Because if we had Kvara leave and a season-ending injury to Neres or to Spinazzola, then we might say, you know what, this was a mistake. We need to grow from this mistake and move on. But none of it is season ending, so the morale doesn't go low. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
That's another thing is you got to think about the morale in the locker room. Conte is a motivator, and he's a guy who's going to get the very best out of his players every single week in and out. If it drains them, we've seen it, right? Politano crashing to the floor, Mazzocchi saying he's too tired. You know what I mean? Like that he gets his all from everybody. And I feel like he wasn't getting his all from Kvara, so Kvara doesn't work out anymore and leaves the pitch. He leaves the club. And it's a thing where we can afford this with the luck that we've been getting. And next season is where you're going to see a few more acquisitions to alleviate the pressures of everybody playing so hard every single week, right? It's got to happen. It's got to happen. Obviously, like if we had Europe this season on the way we ran the transfer market in the summer and in the winter,
big trouble.
We'd be in big trouble. Big trouble. Unless we had Simeone scoring goals off the bench every single week. But that's what I'm saying. Like you have to understand that we are playing to what we have now, and Conte realizes that. Conte realizes that we are a work in progress. Even if we do win the Scudetto this season, we still have to work towards next season. It's not like, it's not like one of those things where when we won the Scudetto in 23, we're like, you know what? We're good with what we have, even though we're changing the manager. And, center back's not that big of a position to fill. So we got this guy who might be pretty good right now in Natan. We'll see, right? No, you have to work, and ADL should know that by now from experience. So that's what next season is for. That's why we saved all our money now, is because you don't want to blow your load of cash in the winter for players who are coming at a budget, right? Garnacho was a player that we were looking for, but is a reject at Manchester United. He's not even a McTominay level read. Like McTominay wasn't playing, but everybody loved him. No one really cares if Garnacho. In my opinion, Garnacho, he wasn't even good enough to get signed on Chelsea for 50, right? So these names, Maximin and the Adeyemi and the blah 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 blah. These guys are not players that we're looking for the future. We were looking for a stopgap, right? Some sort of a filler for Kvaratskhelia. Right. You don't go looking for the Kvara replacement in January.
No,
that's what the summer is for, and that's what more competitions are for. Once because let's not forget, right? Scudetto or not, we get back to the Champions League. Players want to come play in the Champions League.
Yep.
Right? 100%. So there you go. There you go. Mm-hmm. It's 40 million on Comuzzo. We didn't spend 40 million on Buongiorno. You want to spend 40 million on Comuzzo?
For real?
Are you out of your mind? Like, you guys, you have to understand that. Trust me, if Conte was that upset with the Mercato, we would have heard it in his press conferences, not on the pitch. That's not the kind of guy he is. So all of these accusations of Conte trying to prove a point to ADL, blah blah blah, they're great in theory, but it's not the real thing.
Yeah, that's some paranoid schizo shit. It's not, guys. Coach, professionals don't do that. I mean, and maybe they do. I don't know. And if they do, they're not very professional, are they now? But we got to give a beast to the match for this game. Boy. We totally forgot, but that's all right. I don't mind saving it to the end because it's like one of the best parts.
It's our state. That's our staple.
Yeah. Beast to the match. Again, I really thought Napoli was lucky this game. I wasn't overly impressed with some of the play. I know, we've been again dealing with these injuries, these change of forms, so it's hard to see these players do their thing when they're a little tired and you got to change things around and they got to figure it out and they're away from home and it's hostile. But this one player stood out to me, and I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it, Rafa. Right? I mean, I hope you are too.
Yeah. I'm happy with it too.
Because I know you had a different pick. I know you had a different pick.
We had different picks. We had different aspects. But I told you my short list of 2 players. Well, you know what? It actually was 3, but I'll indulge in who they were after we announce it. But my player, our pick was on my short list, and you just had it like right there. So
yeah.
So that was kind of where my head was at. I have this short list. If he says one player that's on it, then we go with him. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
sweet.
Yeah.
So here we are then, guys. All right, beast of the match. Napoli Lazio, or Lazio Napoli rather. Here we go. E per Napoli, la bestia della gara, con il numero 81, Giacomo Raspadori. There he is, folks. Jack's attacks. All right. I mean, listen. We probably one of the best players in the match. I know he got the 2 goals. You know our parameters here for picking beast, but he without a doubt worked hard, helped link up the midfield with the forwards, and I think that's kind of where he should live. he should be that guy for us. And sometimes you got to create your own luck, which he did. And I think
that
his
beautiful
ability,
give and go between him and Lukaku.
Yeah. It seems simple, but really, I mean, it's that quick decision making. It's not like he's being selfish. He's trying to help the team score, and he barely gets minutes. Comes onto this field to mend this broken Napoli right now, and he gets 2 goals out of it. And I that's just beastly to me. It's just beastly that you could keep a smile on your face, help the team, and still provide, even though you're not getting as much time. Even though and everybody's like, this is not a Conte guy. We should sell him and that. Like, guys, no, we should use him.
I couldn't be further from the truth, by the way.
Why would we sell Giacomo Raspadori?
That couldn't be further than the truth, by the way.
Like, holy shit, man.
He's out and out a Conte guy by definition. The guy is the secondo punta. He's good on the left. He is a Conte guy, absolutely. In the sense of Conte's normal play, right? Like, again, we talk about him reverting to a 4-man backline for the sake of the club and what they are. He changed his approach to suit the team that we have, because he felt that the 3-5-2 wouldn't have been good. Now he's got to use a 3-5-2 because of the injuries, and look what happens. You bring Raspadori in, everybody's like, oh no. Not everybody. A lot of people I know were very optimistic about this move too, by the way. Those are the smart fans that we know. The smart fans that know Conte and how he plays and knows this league and knows the history of this league and what he's done in the past, right?
Right.
He's perfect for Conte's system. He plays that system in the national team and it works, So I think we're very justified in how we felt about Raspadori coming in, and the fact that he, like you said, man, he wants to be here. Raspadori is a guy who wants to be here. You heard him on the bus. Manda foto a Kvara,
Yeah.
Like, he wants to be here.
Right.
You can't any sort of rumor that comes out about him being sold or wanting to leave, to me, is BS. I feel like he likes his role, on the bench and can provide that. So, do you want to start every game? Of course you do. Maybe from now on he starts every game. But again, I guarantee you, if we were still in Coppa Italia, Ralph, he'd have a lot more starts. You know what I mean? That, again, we gotta look at it like this, man. One competition. You want to put your best 11 out every single week. I understand it. I need to see more from Conte when it comes to decision making throughout the game. But who are we to say it? He's the guy that's won 3 in 3 different leagues.
Well,
But
we're just topping Raff. So.
I know. But the whole point is when the time Raspadori sees the bigger picture. He sees the big picture. He sees next season. He sees where he can fit in next season, because next season we will be in more than one competition.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would venture to say, and maybe I shouldn't, because I don't want to. What's the phrase? Bite your tongue, or no, something to spite my face. Bite my nose off to spite my face. I don't know what's the. I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know. One of those cool.
I don't want to. I feel as a football fan, as a someone in the community that contributes to football, I don't see Napoli falling out of the top 4. They will be in the Champions League next season.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty confident.
They will be in the Champions League next season.
Yeah.
But if it were to happen, Europe is next season. And with that, we obviously are going back to Europe. So it's more games regardless.
Yeah.
And he sees that and he realizes that. So when he gets his call up, Ralph, right?
Mm-hmm.
Raspadori, what does he do? Boom, makes an impact right away. We go down. I got us, guys. Come on my back. I got us. I'll carry you guys. He was the provider of the second goal.
Yeah.
So Raspadori's impact on this game, on this team, was humongous.
Massive
for this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, we're talking about a clean sweep of 3 wins over Napoli again. For Lazio.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%.
My other 2, Ralph. One was Lukaku because I really was a big fan of. I knew so. Okay, a buddy of mine comes in. We talk about betting all the time. He bets a lot of live stuff. He does really well, but I kind of try to help him with soccer bets, right? I told him bet on Lukaku to score or assist in this game because Lukaku is big time wrong. You know what I'm saying? He comes up in the big games. I unfortunately bet for him to score without the assist, but he ends up getting the assist, right? Another goal contribution in a big match. And for me, that's big for Lukaku, right?
Yeah. He's due soon. Yeah.
He is due. We gave him one recently, didn't we?
Yeah.
The other shout I had was Lobotka. Lobotka was phenomenal. There was this one point in the game where he was surrounded by 4 Lazio guys, and he just danced around them. So a lot of talk about Lobotka and him slowing down a little bit. I think Lobotka was brilliant in this game. A little tired, probably, but brilliant.
There you have it, folks. Next week, this weekend coming up, we'll have Napoli Como.
Como Napoli. We're still on the road.
Napoli.
The next home game is the Inter game, which, by the way, guys, will be announced Friday, February 21st, after the Champions League round of 16 draw. If everybody's trying to find out when this game is going to be played, that's when it's going to be played. Well, that's when it's going to get announced. Is this coming Friday?
No. Great show as always, guys. Thanks to all listeners. We will probably see you again next week soon, and then we're going to be off to, maybe we'll announce something that we'll do when we get to Napoli for the Inter game.
Watch our socials for sure.
Yeah,
we're going to be all over that. Watch our socials for sure. We have some big plans for that.
Yeah. But until then, guys. Man. Oh my God, I'm containing my excitement.
We'll talk more about that next week.
Yeah, but anyway, guys. Until next time, Forza Napoli sempre.
Sempre. Ciao, ciao, Raff.